All right, hello people from the internet. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Nine Settler here, about to do another non-gameplay video. Well, it's kind of a gameplay video, but not really, because this is just content that's gonna be for the stream. This is a Nogger of Behemoth that I'm gonna do 15 runes on. I already did a cigarette, and I can prove it because in my inventory I am carrying 2+1 figurines of a cigarette, one from Tomb, one from exiting a cigarette. Um, and today I'm gonna be talking about mana efficiency with spells, and I think one of the best ways to illustrate my point is with this character. This character is really a godsend for that particular goal. As you can see, I have, early game spells: Irradiate, Zombie Hand, Refrigeration, Iron Shot, Ignition, Mummy Form, Shatter, Statue Form, Polar Vortex, Sublimation of Blood, and Firestorm. Some of these spells are incredibly mana efficient. In fact, I have what I consider to be the most mana efficient spell in the game here, in the form of Polar Vortex. Some others are not so mana efficient. Firestorm, Statue Form, Iron Shot are not very mana efficient. Zombie Hands is mana efficient for the point in the game where you can get it. Refrigeration is definitely not mana efficient. But yeah, it sounds like a weird concept probably because I haven't explained it. So let me just begin with that. Mana efficiency is how much mana it costs you to kill whatever you have to kill. So, or like it's like a comparison of that. With Iron Shot, yeah, Iron Shot costs 6 mana, and it rarely kills monsters in a single attack. So Iron Shot is a very mana inefficient spell. It is really something that even if you have full mana, as I do right now, 54 mana, if I was to find a band of monsters that would normally appear at this point in the game, it wouldn't really go well for me. Yeah, I probably would run out of mana before I kill the second or the third one. Not to mention that it is rather slow to kill things with that spell. In order to illustrate it, I'm gonna go to the Abyss with this character. I already picked up the rune, so it should not be difficult for me to get out of the Abyss later. Killing monsters will force the Abyss to allow you passage. So while I'm in the Abyss, I'll show a couple of those things. We mummy form here so that the lurking horror doesn't torment me. Um, what's my iron shot button? Oh yeah, it's S for shot. All right. So I kill the lurking horror, and it does cost me only 6 mana, which is okay. Fortunately, I have sublimation of blood to regen my HP faster. For example, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. What do you think would happen if I tried to kill all of these guys with iron shot? It wouldn't go well. But fortunately, for killing monsters like these for bands, I have Polar Vortex, and Polar Vortex will just get rid of all of them very quickly, and for essentially no mana cost, thanks to Behemoth. It cost me 9 mana to cast it. I have mana regen, but I am killing things just so fast that it's not really an issue. And thanks to Behemoth, I'm back to full mana. Whenever you're a worshipper of Behemoth, you kind of want to have a combination of mana efficient spells and not mana efficient spells. And it sounds weird, right? Like, why would you use not mana efficient spells? Or like spells that are not particularly mana efficient when you have access to Polar Vortex. And well, there's a downside to the value that you get from your mana whenever you cast Polar Vortex. And the downside is that it's not spammable. You don't kill things immediately. You could see me there casting Firestorm, and Firestorm deals a ton of damage, but it took me two casts, I think, to kill the Wretched Tsar. So yeah, that was kind of expensive mana-wise. I know for sure that Polar Vortex would have killed it in a single attack or in a single cast, but the thing about Polar Vortex is that it doesn't do so immediately. So there's some monsters like like that wretched star, where it is a really good idea to just kill them all as soon as possible. And for monsters like that, it's really good to have a bursty kind of like mana inefficient spell. Polar Vortex wouldn't really cut it there. Zombie Hands would also not cut it. There's some situations where you find monsters where you really don't want to give them extra turns. Also, I can switch to Tiles. Yeah, I can switch to Tiles. Why not? It probably will be better for the viewers if I illustrate this in Tiles. Mm, so yeah, Hellhounds are a monster that is weak to cold, so Refrigeration is the perfect spell for that. Refrigeration does give you minus potion, so it is kinda. It is not something that you want to do all the time, but it is pretty good regardless. Mm, Anyway, as you can see, this character has multiple level 9 spells. It has all that I could possibly wish for when it comes to, damage. I don't need anything else. In fact, I don't need anything else so much that I'm just training multiple skills at the same time, which is something that I pretty much never do until it's late enough in the game to do that. Okay. For killing that elephant, it took me 2 Firestorms and an Iron Shot. So yeah, definitely there's some monsters that you maybe shouldn't try to kill with some spells like Firestorm. But once again, for example, the Lich, I don't want to give it too many turns. I was ready to just cast another Firestorm, but the Lich just died from the clouds. Um, Anyway, if you think this character is really powerful, it is because I have already done a Sigrat with this character. Um, yeah, this character is well on his way to do 15 runes. I have 11. I don't know if I'm gonna be putting it on YouTube, but maybe. Anyway, the substance of the abyss twists violently and a gateway leading out appears. So, I think that pretty much illustrates my point. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. It's a pretty short gameplay video where I explain like a concept that I often talk about, mana efficiency. I ran out of mana. Let me cast some refrigeration or some sublimation of blood. Especially nice for an ogre where I can bleed myself for like 50 or so HP, and it's not really that much of an issue because I still have a sizable amount of HP. But yeah, mana efficiency is choosing what spell to use to deal with what kind of enemy, and like making the decision between remaining with a lot of mana or killing the enemy fast. If you fail to make those decisions too often, you're probably gonna run into some issues where you're gonna have to drink potions of mana. And of course, this character having already done a Sigrat, I have a fair amount of consumables, so it's not really that much of an issue at this point in the game. That leads me to another topic for a video that I hadn't really thought about, and like why I personally am not a big fan of. I'm personally not a big fan of extended. Yeah, another video, or another note to add to the video list. I'll do that later. Anyway, so I'm standing on the exit. Better get out. And yeah, mana efficiency is as simple as just casting the proper spell for the situation, because otherwise you run out of mana if you use your Firestorms or your Iron Shots a bit too much. If you have that issue with your character, do consider Sublimation of Blood. Especially if you can get it at high spell power. It has a chance to just drain you a lot and give you back all your mana. And the chance increases with spell power. So you just have to cast it like 3 or 4 times. Let me see if I can do it right now. Like if I can force it. Just gonna get rid of my mana a bit. Okay, one more. Sublimation of Blood, Sublimation of Blood, Sublimation of Blood, and there we go. That took me 3 casts. One of them didn't really do anything. The other two did deal a sizable amount of damage to me, but pretty much got me back to full mana, or at least high enough that I can continue spamming my mana inefficient spells to kill things really fast. Um, so yeah. In the early game, like I know that I'm doing this with end game spells, with level 9s, but I think a good example of a mana inefficient spell for the early mid games are refrigeration, as an example of an efficient spell, and zombie hands as an example of an efficient spell. Both of those are kind of like Polar Vortex and Firestorm, where this deals a ton of damage for 5 mana and it has some added utility, but it doesn't deal the damage straight away. And Refrigeration deals less damage, but has the utility of literally hitting the entirety of the screen, and you can also spam it, upsides and downsides. That's why I think spells like Iron Shot and Crystal Spear are not that good, especially Crystal Spear. Crystal Spear really suffers from some stiff competition in the form of other, higher level spells like Firestorm, or even same level spells such as Ignition that are not dual school, that just do pretty well compared to Crystal Spear. Missing a Crystal Spear is like the worst feeling ever because it means that you wasted 8 mana. And yeah, getting a Crystal Spear castable in the first place is pretty rough. Um, so yeah, Jin doesn't have to worry so much about the concept of mana efficiency, uh, since you can just stack a large amount of regeneration and put Firestorm, Hidden Shot, Crystal Spear on the quiver and just mash that every fight, and you're probably gonna win every fight. It might chunk you quite heavily when it comes to your HP as a Jin, but it's not an issue. It's really not an issue as long as you're not really taking damage. And you're probably not gonna take damage if you're just flinging Iron Shots, Crystal Spears, or Firestorms at everything. Um, so yeah, I think I'm actually ready to end the video now. I hope that explains the concept a bit, with, just a teeny tiny bit of gameplay on my commentary. It's something that when I started doing the spell overview, someone asked me to do, to illustrate like, in which situations the spells are good, and so like maybe see some practical applications. But I didn't do it because I felt like it was too much work. But maybe I'll do it later. Like if I ever get bigger on YouTube, I'll revisit that series, maybe go at it spell by spell, instead of going spell school by spell school. An advantage of my format is that since it takes me much less time to produce a video, I can just tackle on a whole school at the same time. But yeah, anyway, I have said all that I have to say about spell efficiency, just a little shorter video now. I'll do the spell overview for conjurations at a later date, maybe tomorrow, maybe for next week, who knows. But yeah, see you around. Have a nice rest of your weekend and stuff. And do consider subscribing to YouTube and Twitch and Patreon and everything, if you enjoy my stuff, depending on the degree at which you enjoy it, of course. But anyway, see you around.